Imagine boarding a luxury cruise ship, only to realize something isn't right. Strange passengers who don't exist, ghostly decks that vanish, rooms that drive you mad, and a sinking feeling that no one else can see, even if you can't quite prove it yet. You know, this ship has secrets. And it might be too late to escape them. Story 1. The passenger who never boarded. It was their dream honeymoon. Jenna and Marcus had been saving for over a year to book the Sapphire Majesty, one of the newest and most luxurious cruise ships in the world. With 10 decks, an infinity pool, endless buffets, and a spa that stretched across 2 floors, it was the kind of experience people posted about for years after it ended. They boarded the ship in Miami with wide smiles and hearts full of excitement. Their cabin was on Deck 7 with a balcony overlooking the endless blue of the Atlantic. Everything felt perfect. The room smelled like fresh linen. The sun was out. The ocean breeze danced across their faces. The first day passed like a dream. They drank cocktails by the pool. They watched the sunset from the deck. That night they slept peacefully in each other's arms. The second night, though, something strange happened. Jenna woke up around 2:30 a.m. She didn't know why. There hadn't been a sound. The ship wasn't rocking. But something pulled her out of sleep. She glanced at Marcus, who was still snoring softly beside her. Then she heard it. Knocking. 3 soft knocks. They were coming from the hallway outside their cabin door. Jenna froze. She strained her ears. Silence. Then again, knock, knock, knock. She sat up slowly, heart starting to pound. Maybe someone was lost or drunk. Or maybe a kid playing around. She slipped out of bed and tiptoed to the door. Through the peephole she could see the hallway, dimly lit by soft, golden lights. And at the far end of the hall, right near the elevator, stood a woman. She wore a red dress. Her hair was jet black and long, almost reaching her waist. She was barefoot. And she wasn't moving. Just standing there, staring straight ahead. Jenna felt a chill run through her body. Something about the way the woman stood so still, so perfectly still, felt wrong. She watched for another 10 seconds. The woman didn't budge. Jenna backed away slowly, locked the deadbolt, and climbed back into bed without waking Marcus. She told herself it was probably nothing. Maybe the woman was drunk or lost. Maybe she had been knocking on someone else's door. But the next night it happened again. 3 soft knocks. This time Marcus woke up too. He blinked in the dark and whispered, "Did you hear that?" Jenna nodded. "It's her. The woman in the red dress." Marcus looked confused. "What woman?" Jenna got up and looked through the peephole again. She gasped. The woman was closer now. Only 10 feet away from their door. Still barefoot. Still staring straight ahead. But this time Jenna noticed something else. The woman's face was pale. Not just pale like someone who was sick, but pale like a corpse. Her skin looked almost bluish in the soft hallway light. And her eyes were black. No whites. No iris. Just black. She backed away quickly. "She's back," she whispered. Marcus walked up to the peephole. He looked for a long time. Then turned to Jenna with a nervous smile. "There's no one there." "What?" "I swear. The hallway's empty." Jenna pushed him aside and looked again. Nothing. The hallway was empty. Her blood turned cold. "I saw her, Marcus. I swear. She was right there. Maybe it was a dream. You were half asleep." Jenna shook her head. "No. I was wide awake. She was real. I saw her." Marcus tried to calm her down. "Let's talk to the front desk in the morning. Maybe they've gotten other complaints." They did. But when they asked the woman behind the guest services desk if anyone had reported a woman in a red dress knocking on doors at night, she frowned and said, "No, ma'am. We haven't received anything like that." Jenna hesitated, then asked, "Can you check the security cameras in our hallway?" The woman politely smiled. "We can't show guests the camera footage, but I'll have security take a look and get back to you." They never got a response. That night it got worse. Jenna couldn't sleep. She lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, waiting. Then at exactly 3:06 a.m., the knocking came. But this time it wasn't 3 knocks. It was 6. Knock, 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 knock. Marcus sat up, already wide-eyed. "Don't look," Jenna whispered. But he was already moving. He went to the door and looked through the peephole. And this time, he saw her. His face turned white. He stepped back like someone had punched him. "What the hell is that?" Jenna ran over. The woman was now standing directly in front of their door. Not 10 feet away. Not 5. She was inches from it. Her face was right against the peephole. Black eyes. Dead pale skin. Lips stained dark like dried blood. Then she smiled. Marcus grabbed Jenna's hand. "We're going downstairs. Now." They rushed out and went straight to the night staff. The security officer on duty was a tired-looking man with bags under his eyes. He listened quietly as they explained everything. When they finished, he nodded slowly. "You said she's wearing a red dress?" Jenna nodded. "And barefoot?" "Yes." The officer rubbed his face. Then he leaned in. "You're not the first ones." Jenna's heart skipped. "There have been other reports. Always the same. A woman in red. No one knows who she is. She never speaks. Just knocks." "Who is she?" Marcus asked. The officer looked around, then lowered his voice. "Years ago, back when this ship first launched, there was a woman on her honeymoon. Her husband got drunk, passed out, and she went out on the deck alone. No one knows exactly what happened. But she fell overboard. Did they find her?" He shook his head. "No. Never recovered. No witnesses either. Some say she jumped. Others think she slipped. But ever since then, people have seen her. Always near room 721. That was their cabin." Marcus and Jenna looked at each other in horror. That was their cabin. Story 2, Cabin 413. Liam and his friends had been looking forward to the cruise for months. There were 5 of them, all college buddies who had just graduated and wanted one last trip together before real life began. The cruise ship was called the Ocean Mirage, and it was offering a discounted off-season trip for students. A full 7 days on the sea for cheap. It sounded like a dream. They checked in, grabbed their keycards, and were handed their cabin assignments. The group had been split into 2 rooms, Cabin 411 and Cabin 413, right next to each other on the lower deck. Liam, Nick, and James got 413. From the start, something felt weird. Their hallway was quiet. Too quiet. The lights flickered just slightly as they walked. And when they reached Cabin 413, the keycard reader on the door didn't beep the first time. Or the second. Or the third. Liam swiped it a 4th time before it finally blinked green and unlocked. Inside, the room was freezing. The air conditioning was set to the lowest temperature. The lights were already on. And the small window overlooking the sea was wide open, letting in the ocean wind. But what stood out most was the smell. It was faint but unpleasant. A strange mix of seawater and something metallic. Like rust. Or blood. James wrinkled his nose. "Dude, what's that smell?" Nick laughed nervously. "Old boat funk." "Who cares?" Liam tried to open the bathroom door. It stuck for a second, then gave way. The mirror above the sink was cracked down the middle. "Guys," Liam said. "This cabin's messed up." They called the front desk to ask for a room change, but they were told the ship was full. No changes were possible until the next day. So they decided to tough it out. That night, Liam had a dream. He was standing in the hallway, right outside their cabin. The walls were wet, dripping like it had just rained inside. He heard footsteps behind him and turned. A woman was walking toward him, her long black hair soaking wet, her crew's uniform clinging to her body. But her eyes were empty. Hollow. Like someone had scooped them out. She reached for him. And Liam woke up gasping. The room was ice cold again. He glanced around. James and Nick were asleep, but the bathroom light was on. The door was slightly open. He sat up, confused. No one had used it since they went to bed. He got up, walked over, and peeked inside. There were wet footprints on the floor. They led from the shower to the door and then stopped. Liam closed the door quickly and climbed back into bed. The next morning he told his friends. James laughed it off. Probably someone used the shower late at night. Maybe you got up and forgot. But Liam was sure. He hadn't used the shower. And the footprints weren't theirs. They were too small. Barefoot. Like a woman's. Later that day, while the others were at the pool, Liam stopped at the guest desk. "Can I ask something weird?" he said to the lady at the counter. She smiled. "Of course. Has anyone ever reported strange stuff in cabin 413? Her smile froze for just a second. "Why do you ask?" "Just noises. Cold air. Weird dreams." She glanced to her left, then leaned in slightly. "There was an incident. Years ago. A crew member passed away. In that room." Liam blinked. "What kind of incident?" "She was working housekeeping. They say she fell and hit her head on the bathroom sink. By the time anyone found her, she'd already died. It was a freak accident." Liam swallowed. "And people still stay there?" "It was sealed off for a while, but eventually reopened. Most guests never notice anything." She smiled again, this time less warm. "Is there anything else I can help you with?" Liam shook his head and walked away, the words sticking in his brain. That night, James disappeared. It was around 2 a.m. Liam had gone to the top deck to get some air. Nick was snoring in his bed. James was scrolling on his phone. When Liam came back, James was gone. The bed was empty. His shoes were still there. His phone was on the charger. Liam checked the hallway. Nothing. He woke up Nick and they searched the deck, the dining room, the lounges. No sign of him. Finally, they reported him missing. Security took their report and promised to check the cameras. 2 hours later, an officer came to them with a strange expression. "We found footage," he said. "But you're not going to like it." They followed him to a small office. On the screen was grainy security footage from the hallway outside cabin 413. At 2:17 a.m., James stepped out of the room. He walked down the hallway barefoot, staring straight ahead, like he was sleepwalking. Then something even weirder happened. A shadow appeared behind him. Not a person. Just a shape. A dark figure that didn't match the lighting. It moved right behind James, following him step by step. Then they both disappeared off the edge of the screen. Security searched the entire ship. James was gone. No one saw him again. The cruise continued. Liam and Nick were offered a new room. But it didn't matter anymore. They were terrified. The next night, Liam stayed awake, watching the bathroom door. He couldn't sleep. Every noise made his heart jump. Then around 3 a.m., the bathroom door creaked open. A wet footprint appeared on the tile. Then another. Liam's breath caught. And then, through the crack of the door, he saw a face. A woman's face. Pale. Hair soaked. Mouth open like she was screaming. But no sound came out. She stepped through the door and into the room. Liam screamed. Nick jolted awake, but saw nothing. The woman was gone. Liam was pale, shaking, barely able to breathe. They begged the staff to let them off at the next port. 2 days later, they disembarked early in Jamaica. They didn't care about refunds or lost days. 2 years later, Liam still had nightmares. One night he got a message from someone who had watched a video he posted online talking about the experience. The message was short. "I stayed in cabin 413 too. I saw her." Liam never responded. He never wanted to talk about it again. Because deep down, he knew what happened to James wasn't an accident. And that room? It was never meant for the living. Story 3: The Locked Pool Deck. Amanda was excited when she boarded the luxury cruise liner Celestial Voyager. This was her honeymoon. A 7-day trip across the Atlantic with her new husband, Marcus. The ship was huge, like a floating city, and everything felt perfect at first. Great food. Live music. Endless drinks. And above all, peace. But by the third night, Amanda noticed something strange. She and Marcus were walking along the upper deck when they came across a large, locked gate. Behind it was a wide staircase leading down to another level, and a faded sign that read, "Pool Deck C, staff only, do not enter." Amanda stopped and peered through the gate. The metal was rusted. The area below was dark, unlit, and looked abandoned. Marcus tugged her hand. "Come on, babe. That's probably just an old maintenance deck." She hesitated, then nodded. But something about it stuck in her mind. That night, Amanda couldn't sleep. Their cabin was quiet, the rocking of the ship gentle. But her mind kept returning to that gate. She dreamt of it. In her dream, she was standing at the top of those stairs, holding the gate open. A soft humming sound echoed from below. Like someone was singing. A woman's voice. Gentle but off-tune. She walked down, each step groaning under her feet. The lights were flickering. Water dripped from the walls. And at the bottom of the stairs was the pool. Only it wasn't a normal pool. It was massive. Deep. Dark. And something was floating just beneath the surface. Two pale hands broke the water. Then a face. Lifeless eyes. Black hair fanned out like seaweed. A woman, bloated from being underwater too long. Amanda jolted awake, gasping for air. She looked around. Marcus was fast asleep beside her. The clock read 3:14 a.m. She shook it off as a bad dream. The next morning, she mentioned it casually to a steward while getting coffee. "Oh," he said, eyes darting to the side. "That deck isn't used anymore. It's sealed off." "Why?" she asked. He hesitated. "You should enjoy the upper pools. They're safer. I mean more modern." Amanda blinked. "Wait, what do you mean by safer?" He smiled nervously. "Sorry. Just old superstition. Have a great morning, ma'am." Later that day, Amanda searched online. Celestial Voyager Incidents Pool Deck. She found a forum post. Just one. Dated 3 years earlier. It read, "If you're on the Celestial Voyager and you find Pool Deck C, stay away. My cousin disappeared near it. She swore she saw someone waving from the water. But when she climbed over the gate, we never saw her again. The ship said she fell overboard. But I know she didn't." Amanda's skin turned cold. She told Marcus, but he laughed it off. "You and your internet rabbit holes. You're gonna start believing the ship's haunted." She tried to let it go. That night, they walked the deck again. And Amanda noticed something new. The gate to Pool Deck C was unlocked. The chain hung loose. The padlock was on the ground. She froze. "Marcus," she whispered. "Look." He frowned. "We should report that." But Amanda was already stepping forward. "Amanda, don't," Marcus said, grabbing her arm. She pulled free. "Just a quick peek." She pushed the gate open. It squealed like it hadn't moved in years. The stairs creaked under her weight. Cold air rose from below. Marcus followed reluctantly. They reached the bottom. Pool Deck C was vast. The ceiling lights flickered weakly. The tiles were cracked. Moss clung to the walls. The pool itself was still filled with water. Dark. Stagnant. Amanda stepped closer. The humming began again. Soft. A woman's voice. Off-key. She turned to Marcus. "Do you hear that?" He nodded slowly. Then something moved in the pool. A ripple. They both froze. A pale figure floated to the surface. A woman. Her eyes open. Dead. Bloated skin. Her dress flowed in the water. Amanda gasped. Marcus backed up. "Let's go. Now." But Amanda couldn't move. The woman's eyes were locked on hers. She began to rise, floating upward, toward the edge. Suddenly the lights cut out. They were plunged into darkness. Marcus grabbed Amanda's arm. "Run!" They scrambled up the stairs, nearly slipping. The humming grew louder. Angry. Warped. They burst through the gate and slammed it shut. The padlock clicked into place on its own. Either of them spoke. Back in their room, Amanda shook uncontrollably. "What the hell was that?" Marcus whispered. "I don't know," she said. "But she looked right at me." They tried to forget. They avoided that side of the ship. But the next night, Amanda had another dream. This time, she was in the pool. The water was cold and thick. She couldn't move. The woman was above her, staring down. Then she spoke. "Come down. You open the door." Amanda woke up choking. She was soaked in sweat. But there was something else. Her feet were wet. She pulled back the sheets. Her feet and calves were dripping. The floor was damp. She ran to the bathroom and turned on the light. Wet footprints led from the door to the bed. But not hers. Bare feet. Small. Feminine. Marcus didn't believe her. Until it happened to him. 2 nights later, he woke up in the hallway. Just outside the gate to Pool Deck C. The gate was wide open. He ran back to their cabin, shaking. They decided to report everything to security. A senior officer listened quietly as they spoke. When they finished, he nodded. "You're not the first." "What?" Amanda asked. He lowered his voice. "There was a drowning. Years ago. A crew member. She was depressed. Walked into the lower pool and never came out. They say she calls to people. From their dreams. If you hear her voice, it's already too late." Amanda swallowed hard. "What do we do?" He looked at them carefully. "Don't go near that deck again. Don't answer if she calls. And whatever you do, don't swim." Amanda nodded. They stayed in their cabin that night. Every sound made them jump. At 2:43 a.m., the humming returned. But this time, it was right outside their door. Soft. Repeating. "Come down! Come down! Come down!" Marcus held Amanda's hand tightly. The next day, they demanded to leave the ship early. They disembarked at the next port and flew home. Weeks passed. Amanda tried to forget. But she still has dreams. She's in the water. Cold. Drowning. And the woman is there. Waiting. Smiling. "Come down." You open the door. Story 4. The passenger who wasn't on the manifest. The cruise ship Ocean Serenity departed from Miami on a bright Sunday morning, carrying over 3,000 passengers on a 10-day journey to the Caribbean. Among them were Mia and her younger brother Ethan, both excited to escape reality and soak in the tropical sun. Their parents had gifted them the vacation after a rough year. Mia had just graduated college, and Ethan was taking a break from his first year of teaching. The ship felt like a city on water. Grand chandeliers in the atrium, a dozen restaurants, and even a mini water park. Everything was perfect the first 2 days. They met other travelers, attended comedy shows, and indulged in food at the 24-hour buffet. But on the 3rd day, something strange happened. They were sitting in the Sky Lounge, a glass-walled area at the front of the ship, watching the sunset. Mia was sipping her cocktail when she noticed someone staring at them from across the room. A girl. She looked to be around 13 or 14. She wore a white sundress and had long black hair that fell past her shoulders. She didn't blink. She didn't move. Just stood there, watching. Mia nudged Ethan. "Do you know her?" He looked over. "No." Creepy though. When they glanced back, the girl was gone. That night, as they walked back to their room, Mia saw the girl again. She was standing at the end of the hallway, near the elevators, in the same dress, staring silently. Mia's heart pounded. There she is again. Ethan looked. Where? But by the time he turned, the hallway was empty. The next day, Mia decided to ask the front desk about her. Maybe she was traveling alone? Maybe she was lost? She described the girl to the staff member. The woman at the desk frowned. That doesn't sound familiar. Do you know her name or cabin number? No, Mia said. But she's been wandering around alone. Isn't there a list of minors on board? The staff member typed something, brows furrowed. After a moment, she looked up. I don't see anyone matching that description. But I'll notify security just in case. Mia thanked her and left, feeling uneasy. That evening, they attended a magic show on Deck 6. The theater was full. Laughter echoed through the space as the magician performed levitation tricks. Then, during one of his illusions, Mia saw something chilling. From the corner of her eye, the girl was sitting 2 rows behind them. Still. Expressionless. Mia turned quickly, but the seat was empty. Ethan saw her reaction. You okay? She was here. That girl again. I swear. Ethan tried to calm her down. Maybe it's just your imagination. You've been tired. But Mia wasn't so sure. That night, around 3 a.m., she woke up needing water. She walked into the hallway to find the nearest vending machine. And there she was again. The girl stood silently in front of the elevator. This time, she turned around and looked Mia directly in the eyes. Then, without a word, she stepped into the elevator. Mia rushed forward. Wait! But the doors closed before she could reach it. She pressed the button, heart thudding. The elevator came back up moments later. Empty. Mia went back to her cabin and didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, she told Ethan everything. He listened carefully. We need to talk to someone higher up, he said. This is getting weird. They went to guest services again and demanded to speak to a security officer. A man named Officer Lyle met with them in a small office. She's not on the manifest, he confirmed. We checked all passengers and all minors traveling alone. Nobody matches the description. But I've seen her. Multiple times. She's real, Mia insisted. Officer Lyle nodded slowly. You're not the first to say that. Mia blinked. What? He hesitated. Look, this is unofficial. But crew members have reported sightings of a young girl over the past 2 years. She appears in hallways. Sometimes in closed-off areas of the ship. Always alone. Always watching. Ethan leaned forward. Who is she? No one knows. Some think it's a prank. Others believe she's a ghost. A few years ago, during a similar cruise, a family claimed their daughter went missing. She was last seen near the pool deck late at night. They said she was going to get ice cream but never returned. Security searched for hours. Cameras showed nothing. No footage. It was like she vanished. Mia's skin prickled. Was that girl ever found? Lyle shook his head. The ship's records were scrubbed after that. Legal reasons. But the crew still talks about her. Ethan crossed his arms. So what are we supposed to do? Stay away from her, Lyle said quietly. If she shows up again, don't follow her. Don't talk to her. Just leave. That night, Mia and Ethan kept their cabin lights on. Around 2:30 a.m., the bathroom light flickered. Then the TV turned on by itself. The screen was all static. Mia got out of bed and unplugged it. Then she heard a soft knock. Knock, knock, knock. Someone was at their door. Ethan sat up. Don't open it. But Mia walked to the peephole and looked out. The girl was there. Smiling this time. Then she mouthed something. Come with me. Mia stepped back, terrified. She's here. Suddenly, the lights in the room shut off. The door creaked. And then silence. When they turned on the light again, the girl was gone. The next morning, they went back to Officer Lyle. But he was no longer on board. Transferred off the ship yesterday at the last port, they were told. Strange, since they had just spoken to him hours ago. Mia decided to investigate on her own. She looked up archived articles, trying different keywords. disappearance, girl lost at sea, ocean serenity incident. Eventually, she found an old blog from a former crew member. It talked about a child who had vanished during a Caribbean cruise in 2019. The post claimed she was last seen on Deck 3, near the ice cream bar. There was even a blurry photo. Mia's heart dropped. It was the same girl. Same dress. Same face. The post ended with, "They never found her body. Some say she never left the ship." That night, Mia made a decision. She stayed up and waited. At 3 a.m., the girl appeared again. This time, in their room. Standing by the window. Ethan screamed and threw a pillow. But the girl didn't flinch. She just stared at Mia and said in a soft voice, "You saw me. You believe me. That means you're coming with me." Then she walked straight through the wall and vanished. The next morning, Mia was pale and shaking. She told Ethan she wanted off the ship immediately. They disembarked at the next stop in Puerto Rico, cutting their vacation short. Back home, things didn't return to normal. Mia kept seeing glimpses of the girl. In store reflections. In bus windows. In her dreams. Always the same message. "You're next." Story 5. The door that wasn't on the ship map. Kevin had always wanted to go on a cruise. So when he got a last-minute deal for a solo week-long cruise through the Mediterranean, he booked it without thinking twice. He packed light, brought a few books, and told himself this would be a peaceful escape from his stressful job and broken relationship back home. The ship was huge. It had 12 decks, multiple restaurants, pools, theaters, and a casino. Kevin checked into his stateroom on Deck 7 and spent the first 2 days enjoying the food and the views. Everything seemed normal. But on the third day, something strange happened. He had gone for a walk around the ship after dinner. The sun was setting, and the orange sky reflected beautifully on the water. The hallways were mostly empty, and Kevin liked that. It gave him time to think. As he walked down a quiet corridor on Deck 4, he noticed something odd. A door. It was at the end of the hallway. Painted dark gray with no markings. It had no room number. No staff-only sign. Nothing. Kevin paused in front of it. He pulled out the ship map from his pocket. He had grabbed one earlier that day so he wouldn't get lost. He found Deck 4 on the map and looked closely. There was no door listed in that spot. Just a blank wall on the diagram. He stared at the real door again. It looked old. Scratched. The metal was slightly dented as if someone had tried to open it before. He reached out and tried the handle. Locked. Kevin shrugged it off at first. Maybe it was a maintenance closet or a crew access door that wasn't listed on the passenger map. But that night, he couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the door. There was something about it. Something that didn't sit right. The next morning, curiosity got the better of him. He returned to the same spot on Deck 4. The hallway was still quiet. No passengers. No crew. The door was still there. This time, he brought a small flashlight and pressed his ear against the cold metal. He heard something. A soft sound. Faint. Like whispers. He pulled back quickly. Was someone inside? He looked around, saw no one, and whispered, "Hello? Is someone in there?" No reply. But the whispering continued. Kevin backed away. He didn't tell anyone. He didn't know what to say. "Hey, there's a creepy door on Deck 4 that whispers to me." No one would believe that. That evening, he spoke to one of the ship's staff members, a woman named Carla who served drinks near the pool. He asked casually, "Hey, I noticed a door on Deck 4 near the end of the hallway. No number or sign. What's behind it?" Carla froze. Then she smiled, but it looked forced. "There are no guest rooms down there," she said. "Probably just crew storage." "But it's not on the map," Kevin said. She looked uncomfortable. "The ship's old. Some areas are restricted. Better not to worry about it." He nodded but noticed she avoided him the rest of the night. That only made him more curious. The next day, He waited until late at night when most passengers were asleep. He grabbed his flashlight again and returned to the door. This time, the handle turned. It was unlocked. He hesitated. Every instinct told him to walk away. But he pushed the door open. The air inside was cold and damp. He stepped into a narrow hallway that stretched ahead in silence. The lights were dim, flickering. The walls were metal and rusty, unlike the polished parts of the ship. He turned back, but the door had closed behind him. When he tried to open it again, it wouldn't budge. Panic started rising in his chest. He walked forward. The hallway twisted and turned in unnatural ways. He felt like he was walking in circles, but the path kept changing. It felt endless. Then he saw something ahead. A room, lit by a single flickering light bulb. Inside were old chairs, a broken table, and a mirror leaning against the wall. The mirror was cracked, but Kevin saw his reflection. And something else. Behind him. A shadow. He spun around. Nothing there. He looked back at the mirror. The shadow was still there. Closer now. A tall figure with no face, just a smooth, blank head and long arms. Kevin's breath caught in his throat. He stepped back. And the light went out. Total darkness. He stumbled out of the room and ran blindly down the hallway. He turned corners, banged into walls, scraped his arms, and finally found another door. He pushed it open and fell into a brightly lit corridor. Deck 4. Back on the ship. The strange door behind him was gone. Just a smooth wall. No scratches. No handle. Nothing. Kevin ran back to his room, heart racing. He didn't sleep that night. The next day, he tried to find Carla again, but no one had seen her. When he asked another bartender about her, the man said, "There's no Carla on this crew." "Are you sure?" Kevin insisted. "She was here yesterday. Blonde, early 30s, served drinks at the pool." The man shook his head. "Sorry, never heard of her." Kevin searched the whole ship. No sign of the strange door. No sign of Carla. He visited guest services and asked to speak with security. They seemed polite but dismissive. "There's no door like that on Deck 4, one of them said. "Are you feeling okay, sir?" Kevin nodded slowly. "I'm fine. Just tired." But he wasn't fine. That night, back in his room, he dreamed of the hallway. Of the whispers. Of the faceless shadow. When he woke up, his mirror had a crack in it. Just like the one in that strange room. He hadn't touched it. From that point on, weird things started happening. Lights flickered when he walked past. His cabin door opened by itself at night. Sometimes he would wake up and find his suitcase unzipped, even though he locked it. Then came the final night of the cruise. He woke at 3:15 a.m. The mirror in his room had fogged up. Words had formed on it. "Come back!" Kevin screamed and ran out into the hallway in his pajamas. A few doors opened. Other passengers peeked out, confused and annoyed. But the strange thing was, the hallway looked different now. Longer. And at the very end, the door was there again. Gray. Unmarked. Kevin stared at it for a long time. Then he turned and ran to guest services. "I want off the ship," he demanded. The man behind the counter blinked. "Sir, we're in open waters. We can't." "Then lock me somewhere. I'm not going back near that hallway." They let him stay the rest of the night in the infirmary under supervision. The next morning, he disembarked at the final port. Once home, Kevin told his story online. Most people didn't believe him. A few said he was crazy. But one comment stood out. A man wrote, "I saw that door too. But I went further in. I never found a way out." Kevin tried to message him. But the account was deleted the next day. Story 6. The Sudden Silence on Deck 9. Emily and her husband Jared were celebrating their 5th wedding anniversary with a cruise to the Caribbean. It was their first vacation in over a year, and they were both excited to escape their busy lives. The ship was a luxury liner with endless food, shows, and pools. Everything felt like a dream, until the night they visited Deck 9. It all began on the fourth night of their cruise. Emily had just finished watching a comedy show while Jared stayed back in the room feeling a bit seasick. As she made her way to the elevator, she passed by a crew member who looked uneasy. He was talking to another staff member in a hushed voice. "All of Deck 9 is closed off tonight," he said. "Security's been sent already." The other nodded. "Same thing happened last cruise, didn't it?" Emily slowed her steps. She wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but her curiosity grew. She glanced at the elevator panel. Deck 9's button was lit but dimmer than the others. She pressed it anyway. When the doors opened, she stepped out into silence. At first, she thought maybe she was imagining it. But no, there was no music, no chatter, no soft humming of machinery. It was total silence. The air was different too. It felt heavier. The hallway stretched ahead with pale yellow lights glowing above. She noticed that there were no passengers around. No cleaning staff. No signs of life. Emily walked slowly, calling out, "Hello?" Her voice echoed down the corridor and faded quickly. She began to feel uneasy. Deck 9 was supposed to have some cabins, a game room, and a bar. But all the doors were closed. Some were locked. Others just wouldn't budge. She came to a door marked "The Reef Lounge." It was slightly open. She pushed it. Inside, chairs were overturned. Tables were pushed against the walls. It looked like someone had left in a hurry. On the far wall, the large screen that usually played underwater scenes was cracked. The room smelled strange, like seawater and rust. That was when she noticed something else. The windows. They were completely black. Not like night dark. Like something was covering them. She walked closer to one and wiped the glass. It didn't clear. It wasn't just dirty, it was blocked. Like the ocean had swallowed the windows completely. Suddenly, she heard footsteps. She turned around quickly. No one. The room was empty. Then she heard a whisper. Not a word she could make out, just the sound of breath and something soft and fast. It came from behind the bar. She crept over and peeked behind it. Empty. Then she saw something move in the reflection of a metal shelf. A shape. Behind her. She spun around. Still nothing. Her heart was racing now. She left the lounge and started back toward the elevator. The hallway seemed longer than before. The lights flickered once, then went out for 2 full seconds. In that moment of darkness, she heard breathing again. Close. When the lights returned, she looked behind her and nearly screamed. A figure stood at the far end of the hall. Tall. Thin. Head tilted. Not moving. Not speaking. Just watching. She backed up, her hands shaking. The elevator was still far. The figure took a step forward. Then another. She turned and ran. Doors flew past her as she sprinted toward the elevator. She slammed the button and waited. Every second felt like forever. The doors opened, and she rushed in. As they closed, she saw the figure again, closer this time. Its face was pale. Its eyes were black. No mouth. Just skin. When she got back to her cabin on Deck 7, Jared was asleep. She shook him awake, her voice trembling. "You have to come with me. Something's wrong on Deck 9. He blinked. "What are you talking about?" She pulled him up, nearly dragging him. They returned to the elevator, but now the Deck 9 button was no longer lit. Jared tried pressing it, but it didn't respond. He looked at her, confused. "Are you sure it was Deck 9? "Yes," she said. "The bar was destroyed. There was someone there, something there." They went to the front desk. Emily demanded to speak to someone from security. The woman at the desk gave her a polite smile. "Deck 9 is currently under maintenance. Guests are not allowed." "But I was just there," Emily said. "There was no warning. No sign. And there was something wrong." "I'm sorry, ma'am," the woman interrupted. "If you accessed Deck 9, that was a mistake. Please don't go back. Emily looked into the woman's eyes. Something was off. Her smile was too still. Her eyes didn't blink. Jared gently tugged Emily away. Let's just go. Please. That night, Emily stayed awake. At exactly 3 a.m., she heard a knock on their cabin door. 3 slow knocks. Jared was asleep, snoring softly. She got up and looked through the peephole. No one was there. Then came a whisper, right outside the door. Come back. Her blood ran cold. She backed away from the door. The knock came again. This time louder. 3 times. Then silence. She didn't open it. When morning came, she checked the peephole again. Nothing. She opened the door slowly and found something on the floor. A card. From the Reef Lounge on Deck 9. But it looked old. Torn. Water-stained. And on the back, someone had written, "We never left." Emily didn't speak to Jared about it. He already thought she was being paranoid. But for the rest of the trip, she avoided elevators and refused to be alone. On the final night, there was a power outage. The whole ship went dark for a few seconds. When the lights came back, everyone laughed and clapped like it was a joke. But Emily wasn't laughing. Because when she looked across the dining room, she saw a familiar figure standing by the door. Tall. Thin. Pale. No mouth. And its eyes locked with hers. She blinked. It was gone. The next morning, they disembarked. Back on land, Emily felt relief wash over her. But a week later, at home, she was unpacking her suitcase when she found something strange. A towel. From the Reef Lounge. Folded neatly between her clothes. She never packed it. She never took anything from Deck 9. Then she looked at her mirror. At first, nothing. Then a slow fog rolled across the surface. And in the mist, a message appeared. We remember you. Story 7. The crew member who shouldn't have been there. Liam was a solo traveler in his early 30s who decided to take a much-needed vacation after quitting his high-pressure job in finance. He chose a 7-day luxury cruise through the Mediterranean to clear his head and relax. The ship was beautiful, filled with art, music, gourmet food, and endless activities. Everything seemed perfect. But on the second night, something strange happened, something he would never forget. After dinner, Liam went for a walk on the upper deck. It was quiet up there. Most of the passengers were at the casino or watching a musical show. The moonlight shimmered across the dark ocean, and the sound of waves crashing gently against the ship was calming. He leaned over the railing, enjoying the night breeze. Then he heard footsteps behind him. He turned and saw a crew member standing a few feet away. The man wore a dark blue uniform, neat and spotless. But something felt off. Beautiful night, the man said with a stiff smile. Liam nodded. Yeah. Perfect weather. The man stepped closer. You should stay inside after midnight. Not everything is meant to be seen. Liam laughed nervously, thinking it was a joke. What do you mean? The crew member didn't laugh. He just stared at Liam for a long moment, then turned and walked away. Liam watched him go, puzzled. The man didn't take the stairs or go toward the elevators. He walked straight to a locked emergency door and disappeared behind it. Liam had passed that door earlier. It had a sign that read crew access only and was locked with a keypad. How did the man get in? Back in his cabin, Liam told himself it was probably just a staff member playing around. Maybe the crew had strange humor. Still, something about that moment stuck in his mind. The next day, Liam asked a staff member at the breakfast buffet about the crew uniforms. Do all crew wear the same navy blue uniform? He asked casually. The woman behind the counter smiled. No, sir. We have different departments. Housekeeping wears green. Maintenance wears gray. Security wears black. The officers wear navy blue. Liam paused. What about the staff who work the night shift? They follow the same color system, she said. Why do you ask? He shook his head. Just curious. That night, Liam wandered back up to the same upper deck. It was a little after midnight. He didn't know why he was drawn there again, but he felt he needed to understand what he saw. Sure enough, as he leaned against the railing again, he heard the same soft footsteps behind him. The same man stood a few feet away. Navy blue uniform. Same expressionless face. Still outside, the man said. You were warned. Liam turned fully to face him. Who are you? The man stared without answering. Then he said something strange. They hear you when you ask too many questions. Before Liam could speak, the man walked away, this time not toward the emergency door, but toward the edge of the deck. Liam ran after him. But when he turned the corner, no one was there. There were no exits. No hiding spots. It was as if the man had vanished. Liam hurried to the front desk and asked to speak with ship security. A young officer met him in the lobby. I saw someone on the upper deck. Twice. He was wearing an officer's uniform and said some really weird things. The officer nodded slowly. Do you remember his name tag? He wasn't wearing one. Was he tall? Pale skin? Dark eyes? Liam's heart skipped. Yes. You know him? The officer didn't answer immediately. Then he sighed. Follow me. He led Liam to a side hallway away from the guests. We usually don't talk about this, he said. But you're not the first person who's seen him. That deck has a history. Liam listened carefully. The officer continued. About 5 years ago, a junior officer named Thomas Hale fell overboard during a midnight inspection. He was doing a routine walk, alone. No one saw him go. The cameras were glitchy that night. We didn't even know he was missing until the morning. Liam swallowed hard. Was his body ever found? No. But passengers started reporting seeing him. Always after midnight. Always on the upper deck. Same uniform. Liam felt a chill in his spine. Why does he keep appearing? He asked. We think he's stuck, the officer said. Or maybe something followed him when he disappeared. We've had more than one guest say he warned them not to ask questions. One even said he followed them back to their cabin. Liam stared in disbelief. That night, he kept his door locked. He put a chair against it. Still, at exactly 3:17 a.m., he woke up to the sound of footsteps. Slow. Steady. Right outside his cabin door. He held his breath. Then came a knock. 3 times. He didn't move. He didn't even breathe. After a long pause, he heard the soft whisper of someone walking away. The next day, Liam asked to be moved to a different cabin. He claimed he wasn't sleeping well due to the location. The staff didn't argue. They gave him a new room, 2 decks down. Everything was quiet for a couple of days. He glanced at it casually, then stopped. In the reflection behind him was the crew member, standing still, watching him. Liam turned around fast. No one was there. But the reflection still showed the man, standing just behind him, inches from his shoulder. He looked back and forth, nothing behind him, but still there in the glass. He reached out to touch the mirror. It felt ice cold. And then, the reflection changed. The crew member's eyes turned black. His mouth opened wide, revealing nothing inside, just a deep, dark void. Liam stumbled backward. The reflection vanished. No one else in the hallway noticed anything. Back in his new cabin, Liam found something under his pillow. A folded piece of paper. It was damp and smelled like seawater. He unfolded it. One sentence was written on it in messy, rushed handwriting. You were warned. The next morning, Liam left the ship without speaking to anyone. He didn't even wait for breakfast. He booked the earliest flight home and promised himself he would never go on another cruise again. A few weeks later, Liam was watching a news clip online about paranormal sightings at sea. He nearly dropped his coffee mug when they showed a blurry security photo. It was taken on the same ship, in the hallway near the upper deck. The image showed a man in a navy blue uniform standing completely still. The anchorwoman said, Several guests claim this man is the ghost of Officer Thomas Hale, who disappeared mysteriously years ago. The cruise company has not confirmed any such figure exists. Liam leaned forward. The photo wasn't great, but the man's face was clear enough. It was the same face he saw. The same cold eyes. The same warning. And just before the clip ended, something caught Liam's attention in the corner of the screen. A reflection. In the polished wall behind the anchor. Someone was standing behind her. Wearing a navy blue uniform. Watching.